Hello friends, welcome to the lecture series on digital communication. We are going to engage the contents for the subject ETL 305 Digital Communication. Myself, Anushka Kadge, is going to engage the sessions on this particular. In this particular course, we are going to see first of all the chapter which is including the different digital modulation schemes named as pulse code modulation, adaptive pulse code modulation, adaptive differential pulse code modulation, delta modulation, adaptive differential delta modulation, and CVST. As a second unit, we are having the definition of information, equation for entropy, information, the source coding theorems. Then we are going to look for the channel coding theorems, including the Shannon's theorem and Shannon-Hartley theorem. While this chapter is again including the numericals and the procedure for getting the source coding to be done by the method of Hoffman's coding and Shannon-Fano coding. As a third unit, we are going to see what are the basic requirement of a signal for doing transmission of that. Then what is the likelihood detection, the types of receiver like correlation receiver, matched filter receiver, their mathematical approach for getting the less probability of error, and finally in this chapter the I pattern, intersymbol interference, and different types of synchronization methods, as well as carrier recovery and symbol timing recovery methods we are going to cover out. As a next chapter, we are having the passband digital data transmission, in which we are going to cover different passband modulation methods, which are also known to be digital carrier modulation method. In this, namely, we are going to cover the probability of error equation calculations for amplitude shift keying, phase shift keying, frequency shift keying, and M-array signaling for all these different types of shift keying methods. As a next unit, we are having the content of spread spectrum technique, wherein we are going to see the CDMA application of direct sequence spread spectrum technique, then frequency hopping spread spectrum technique and its applications. And as a final unit, we are going to see for different coding techniques which are utilized for either detection and then correction of the transmitted data, and in that transmitted data whether any error has happened or not, that will be checked out and corrected also. So friends, with this all introduction, now we are moving towards the actual contents of our syllabus. To start with the contents with our learning outcomes of how the analog and digital signals will be defined, the basic difference between the features of analog and digital signals, different blocks involved in the basic communication system and modified digital communication system, and finally we are going to state the advantages for the digital communication process. So here friends, we are starting with the definition of communication. So communication is nothing but sending a signal over some medium from one sender to the receiver. And here we are getting the signal to be transmitted from a sender to the receiver by using some transmission medium. But in reality, when we are transmitting any signal, we have to look for the actual bandwidth of the signal to be transmitted and the bandwidth of the channel over which we are transmitting the signal. So this is a physical situation of the number of instruments and the channel which is present. So let's say that the bandwidth of the transmitted signal is more as compared to the bandwidth of the channel. So when such like signal will be transmitted on the channel, then you can see in this diagram of the received signal that the major portion of information has got lost. That means here when this transmitted signal was loaded on the channel, this was got corrupted, and because of that information loss has happened. And this is what the case that we have to understand when we are going for the digital communication process. So what is the requirement for the communication process? How to get the more amount of data to be retrieved at the other end, and if any error has occurred, how to get the retrieval of that particular error. And for that, first we have to understand the major features of the analog and digital signal. But before that, we will define the analog signal and the digital signal. So analog signal is a signal which is showing continuous level changes with respect to time. So in the analog time domain signal, we are going to find out multiple number of levels which are present. While in the digital signal, either only two discrete levels will be present or the defined number of discrete levels will be present. So in the following diagram you can see here is one level which is present, may be said as high level, and this will be termed as a low level. But in forthcoming part of this signal we can observe this as a low level, this as one another level, this is as a third level, then this will be again as a fourth level. So here four number of discrete levels are present into this signal. So digital signal will be present with finite number of discrete levels present into that. But generally the digital signal should be termed as a binary signal itself, where the two voltages or two levels will be represented. So the overall scenario for communication process will be having the representation of an input signal which is in analog in nature. That means overall information is present in analog signal form. That data or information may be of type text, voice or picture. Once this information is available, by using the encoder, we have to get that converted to digital information, or the discrete number of states are to be obtained from this infinite number of levels which are present at the input. So as far as the analog signal has concerned, we have said that it is showing the continuous variation in the amplitude levels with respect to time. So its form of presentation may be a sinusoidal signal, and the features which are looked for any analog signal will be frequency, amplitude and phase. Now in this case, the frequency will be nothing but the number of repetitions that those are going to happen over a complete one period, that is called to be frequency, while amplitude is nothing but the difference of the extreme points of that signal on positive side and on negative side with respect to the midpoint of that cycle. Similarly, now the phase we are going to define as it is the angular position change of the wave with respect to time. In the same way, we will now look for the different features for the digital signals. As mentioned earlier, here in digital signal, the number of levels will be discrete and they will be finite in number. Generally, we are referring only two levels, that is 0 level and 1 level. So those signals may be said to be binary digital signals, and that's why the unit for information representation of digital signal is bit. And the example for this digital signal will be the computer produced data or the keyboard produced data, because inside this computer the keys what we are pressing, they will be get converted into their corresponding ASCII code. So basically for any digital signal, the features which are looked for are spectrum and bandwidth. So spectrum of a signal is the range of frequencies which are included into that signal. So let's take example of a telephone system. If I am saying that telephone system is operating in the frequency range of 300 Hz to 3400 Hz, then definitely the range of a signal frequencies which are included for any telephonic signal will vary from 300 Hz up to 3400 Hz. Now the second feature is bandwidth, and bandwidth is nothing but the width of the spectrum. Bandwidth is obtained as a subtraction of a lower frequency from the upper frequency from the spectrum range value. So let's take the bandwidth calculation for the said range of telephone system. It will be obtained as 3400 Hz minus 300 Hz, and it is given as 3100 Hz. But at standard, we are considering this as a 4 kilohertz. Another thing, let me tell you friends, that digital communication system, if the bandwidth of the lines is greater, definitely the capacity of that system is greater. And that's why here in every transmission type we have to look for what is the bandwidth of that channel or the medium over which we are transmitting the data. Now here in this slide friends, you can get the differentiation to be done between the analog transmission type and the digital transmission type. Here in analog transmission type, from your transmitter or towards your receiver, only the modems are present. That means the interconversion of your original time domain data is not going to happen. Nowhere on the path that data will get converted from the analog form to the digital form. Only that will be get modulated and demodulated at the receiver end, and it will be received by the receiver. While in case of the digital modulation, if you are observing here, the presence of digital service unit and channel service unit is present, which are working for taking the input as a analog signal, converting that to the digital form, getting that to be encoded, and then putting that on the common carrier for the digital circuit. That will be again received by some another digital service unit. At the receiver end, it will receive that, check for any errors has happened in the transmitted data. If errors have happened, it will get it corrected and again get it reconverted into original analog form, and it will be presented to the user. So overall, either I take the analog transmission or digital transmission method, our objective is always to send the information. But when we are sending the information, our need is that our information should be sent without any loss, and it should be retrieved as we have transmitted from the transmitter at the receiving end. While doing the transmission, it should be transmitted as fast as possible. But when we are looking for these objectives, the constraint with the channel or with the transmitted signal will be present. So either I have to work with less transmitted power for the signal, or I have to work with limited amount of channel bandwidth. That's why here we cannot get the control of any of these two parameters. So what is remaining in our hand? We are remained with getting the design of communication system. That means the transmitter and receiver end should be done in such a way that with the limited transmitted power and with limited channel bandwidth that is available, we can get reliable transmission as well as the faster transmission. And here the major tools will be the different transpositions or signal transform application and the probability theory application. So to understand this whole concept, we will see one example. Let's consider that we are having a telephone line system. And for telephone line system, we know that the bandwidth which is present is from 300 Hz up to 3300 Hz. That means the actual transmission line channel bandwidth which is available is of 3000 Hz only. Now here we are one sender who is going to generate a voice signal. So in telephone line, this voice signal will be taken either from a telephone, from a computer, or from a microphone. It will get encoded as like in the ASCII code or ABCDIC code. After getting the encoding of that data, it will get modulated either by using simple modulation methods as amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, or phase modulation, or it may be having some complex modulation like quadrature amplitude modulation or the different encoding techniques with the modulation method. Once this will get modulated, it will be kept on the channel. Now we are knowing that this channel is a voice channel and it is working on 3000 Hz value. But the sender who have generated the transmission signal, that is having the information presence in the signal frequency range from 600 Hz up to 3000 Hz only. So here we can see that our transmission signal bandwidth is less as compared to this channel bandwidth. If such like situation is there, then and then only the reconstruction of data will be proper at this receiving end. Otherwise, in the transmission of a signal on the channel, we will get the different errors, either the attenuation of signal or the major amount of information signal will get lost over this channel. And this cannot be get recovered by using demodulator or decoder at the receiver end in simple analog modulation systems. And that's why we have to go towards digital modulation processes. At the same time, as I have said, we have to work with the restriction of the bandwidth availability of the channel. But as we are moving from the different types of data such as text data only, voice data, image data, or video data, for these all data to be transmitted or to be transferred from one user to the another user, the requirements in terms of a bandwidth and bit rate are going to increase. And this bit rate will be majorly described in terms of number of bits per second or number of bits per time value. And that's why here on the other side I have presented the telecommunication units in form of a kilobit, megabit and gigabit. And similarly, as we are working on the computer for getting the digital data to be converted, so these are also said to be the computer storage units, which will be mentioned in the form of a bytes. Those I have mentioned out. Now we will go for the basic elements which are present in communication system. When you have gone for analog communication system, you might have seen only the presence of three blocks. One was source, it was also said to be transmitter, second was channel, and third was the part of a receiver. But when we are going for digital communication, we should have a source of information. That means either the sensor output or such like this mic data what I am inputting to the computer. That will be said to be the source of information. After getting the information, that has to be encoded at the transmitter side with the help of a encoder. Then before putting that data on the channel through the modulator, the channel encoder also has to work out, which will convert this encoded data into some encrypted value. Then it is given to the modulator, and after getting the modulation of a data, it will be passed on to the channel. After the channel, the receiver part is going to start. And the receiver always contain exactly the opposite part with respect to the components or the blocks which are present in transmitter. So we are starting with the block of a demodulator, because as an ending part at a transmitter, the modulator block was working. So first the demodulation on receiver side has to happen. Before modulator we were having encoder, so here in the receiver channel decoder will work out. Then source decoder will be present, and finally as the output of a source decoder, the actual transmitted data we are going to retrieve at the another user end. But if you are observing for this particular diagram here, every time either we are seeing that the information will be sent by a single user or the information will be received by a single user itself. And that was the case for analog communication also. But in digital communication, we are having the modified diagram which is going to tell us the presence of multiplexer block and demultiplexer block, which are showing the presence of more number of sources. Those can be transmitted or received either simultaneously or at the different timings. So here, as compared to this block, we are finding out the two blocks which are present extra in transmitter and again in receiver, and those blocks are mux and the encryptor. So mux is going to choose either one of the source information which is to be transmitted at a time. Again demux is going to choose either one of the input at the receiver to be decoded from multiple number of inputs that has been received by the demodulator at the receiving end. So this is how the major difference in digital communication and analog communication can be seen. Here more than one amount of source information is ably transmitted in digital communication systems. Apart from this, what are the advantages of digital communication system that we are going to look? As I have mentioned, in digital communication, it is going to work on digital signal, and as digital signal will be having only the discrete level presence, because of that the amount of noise and distortion which is introduced over the channel, they cannot give the large variation in the original signal levels. And this is in turn we can say that the digital signal can withstand with the channel noise and the distortion. In digital communication, the regenerative repeater component is present, which is preventing the accumulation of a noise over a complete channel path, because of which the large amount of noise introduction is not possible. Here this digital signal processing is going to happen by using the ICs, and because of that these hardware implementations will be flexible, because on the ICs, by using the different types of programming, the operations can be changed and flexibly can be managed. The digital signals, we are working in digital communication, and those digital signals can be coded either as a line coding or as a channel coding. And because of that, here on the data, the error rates are less. Similarly, due to the encoding, we can get the privacy of data to be maintained. These digital communication processes are more efficient than the analog communication when the same bandwidth we are going to consider for the offered channel. These digital communication processes are easier and more efficient to get the multiplexing of several number of source signals or information signals. As these systems are operating on digital signal, the storage is relatively easy and inexpensive. And as data is stored in digital form, because of that its reproduction is also becomes easy, and that will be extremely reliable without any deterioration in the original signal levels. As we are seeing that the hardware for these digital communication system may be based on the digital ICs, so cost of that digital hardware may get halved after every 2 or 3 years because of more developments, and these rates are even get halved, their performance capacity goes on doubling. But at the same time it offers the disadvantages also, that the digital system may require large bandwidth for getting the data to be transmitted, and they will be not compatible with the frequency division multiplexing if we are offering the time division multiplexing for the digital transmission. So here friends, I think you might have understood the concepts of analog and digital signal, the basic features of analog and digital signals, and then the blocks which are involved in the digital communication, modified digital communication, and after that the advantages of digital communication. So, and in further coming lectures, we will go through the contents of this with source coding techniques. Until then, bye and happy learning.